Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I have a voice for radio, so I thought it would be a good idea to show you the Team Up theme decks. Now, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this news did break yesterday, but as did the banning of Maxis and Unknown, as did the new Charizard GX, as did the new Greninja GX. So actually, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I tried. I really, really tried. But there was just too much news yesterday. The good news is today we've got a little bit more time. So let's have a gander, shall we? Now, we already knew that these were based around the Blastoise and Charizard. We'd already seen the fronts of these theme decks. But now we know the back. And we know what's in them. And what's really strange, the number of different cards in here is much, much lower than usual. And that's because each of these theme decks actually has 20 basic energy. Now, bearing in mind, right, that these theme decks have been getting better and better lately, we kind of moved away from 20 energy. Well, the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, there is a very, very good reason why you get 20 energy in them. And the reason is, both Blastoise and Charizard are Pokemon that love to have a whole bunch of energy. So Blastoise has an ability, a very nice ability I might add, that allows you to look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach any water energy you find there to your Pokemon in any way that you like. This is very, very good energy acceleration, and this is going to lead you essentially to success. It's going to be something that allows you to get a whole bunch of energy on the field so that you can smash with your Pokemon. Nice. Also, free water energy, 150 damage, means that one of the Pokemon with which you can be smashing is Blastoise. And Blastoise is already featured in a winning deck over in Japan with Magikarp and Wailord Tag Team GX, as well as the Articuno from Tag Team. It does 70 damage for 2 energy and moves them to the bench. And the ability says that your opponent can't use supporters on your water Pokemon, basically Guzma. So you use Blastoise to accelerate to Articuno, do 70, move to the bench, drops a good one. Charizard, on the other hand, has also been successful, but Charizard is good in its own right. The ability says that once during your turn, you may put 2 damage counters onto Charizard, and then search your deck for 2 energy and attach them to Charizard. 2 fire energy, obviously. The attack then does 30 damage, but you have to discard all fire energy attached to Charizard, and you do 50 more for each energy that you discard. So if you put 2 energy on with the ability, then you're doing 130. You add 1 from your hand for your turn, 180. That ain't bad, ladies and gentlemen. That ain't bad. So you're in this weird situation where Blastoise is hitting Charizard for weakness, but actually they're getting a 1-hit KO whether they hit for weakness or not. And Charizard is 1-hit KOing Blastoise as long as you've got free energy, which you probably will have because of the ability and the fact that you're playing 20 energy. So I kind of like this. These theme decks seem like they could go toe-to-toe. So if we start off with the Blastoise deck Torrential Cannon, we see a 2-2-2 line of Blastoise and 20 water energy. That is quite a lot. Now, no rare candy here, unfortunately. You do have to evolve up in the usual manner, but we do see a couple of Golduck. Now, unfortunately, when you're just looking at the back of the theme decks, you never know exactly which one it is. It is likely to be the Golduck from Team Up, which is actually quite nice. 1 water energy, 20 damage, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks. That Pokemon can't use a chosen attack during their turn, which is really good against Charizard because it's only got 1 attack. Free water energy, 90 damage, but if your opponent's got any water energy in play, you may do 90 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon instead. Really good if you're playing 2 Blastoise decks against each other. You also see a couple copies of Farfetch'd, 3 copies of Farfetch'd, as it happens here. Farfetch'd is actually quite nice for a theme deck. 1 colorless energy, draw 2 cards. And then if they've got a tool attached to them, you do 90 damage and discard the tool. Otherwise, you just do 20. But theme decks don't generally tend to have tools in. And there's quite a lot of consistency here. We're talking 3-2-2 Blastoise line, 3-2 Golduck line, 3 Farfetch'd. Oh yeah, And we see a 3-2-2 Pidgeot line. Now, Pidgeot is not particularly exciting. Pidgeot, take it or leave it. 2 energy, 60 damage, your opponent switches are active with one of their bench. 3 energy, your opponent puts their active and all cards attached to it into their hand. Good for getting rid of a stage 2. But you're getting a couple copies of Pidgeotto here. And Pidgeotto is really, really, really nice. Pidgeotto's got a phenomenal ability, which allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one in your hand and one on the bottom of your deck. This is great for consistency. It's brilliant in a theme deck, but expect to see Pidgeotto popping up in a whole bunch of decks in the near future. This is a great card. Now, in terms of the trainer line here, we've got a couple copies of Cynthia. It's the best supporter card in the format. That's phenomenal. A couple copies of Brock's Grit, which is great recovery. Couple copies of Copycat, which is another draw supporter, which is quite nice. Couple copies of Nestball for getting your basics out. Couple Fan Club for getting your Pokemon out. Couple Kukui to do an extra 20 damage plus drawing 2 cards, and a couple of timeable, flip 2 coins for each heads, search your deck for an evolution Pokemon and put it into your hand. This is really nice. I mean, the 2 Blastoise are great, add in the Pidgeotto and that's ridiculous, add in the 2 Cynthia, the 2 Brock's Grit, the 2 Professor Kukui, and that justifies the purchase. Fewer different cards in the deck, but a very nice deck. Moving over to Charizard, we once again see a 3-2-2 Charizard line. And we also see a 3-2-2 Nidoqueen line. Now, Nidoqueen, weirdly enough, like Charizard, is one of the pre-release promos for this particular set. And it's got a really nice ability that lets you search for a Pokemon and put it into your hand. The attack for free energy does 10 damage plus 50 for each evolution Pokemon on your bench, so maybe you can get a few out. Weirdly enough, you also get 3 copies of Farfetch'd, so somebody really likes Farfetch'd. And you get a 2-2 line of Rapidash. Sorry, a 3-2 line of Rapidash. Now again, I'm assuming that it is a Rapidash from Team Up. 1 fire energy, 20 damage plus burn. 2 fire energy, 60 damage, flip a coin. If heads, you are invulnerable next turn. So again, a decent little mix of Pokemon here. I mean, the Pidgeotto in the Blastoise deck really is stunning. This does not have quite the same support Pokemon. Nidoqueen's nice, but it's also a pre-release promo. Whereas Blastoise had the 2 Pidgeotto, this doesn't really have an equivalent. The equivalent is supposed to be Nidoqueen, but even though it's going to be a rare, it's not as good. Now, if we look at the trainer line, it's very, very similar. By which I mean it is literally exactly the same. So again, 2 copies of Cynthia, best draws card in the supporter. Seriously, Cynthia, I've seen places where it's gone for like $5. Cynthia is a really, really good card. This will bring down the price of Cynthia. The more it's out there, the cheaper it will get. And I've seen people complaining about Cynthia and the price of it. Well, good news. It's in here. And then you get 2 Brock's Grit to recover Pokemon, couple of Copycat as another draw supporter, couple of Nestball, couple of Timeable to get your Pokemon out, couple of Fan Club, and a couple of Professor Kukui. Once again, these are really, really good theme decks, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, they've selected really good Pokemon in Charizard and Blastoise. I tend to lean towards the Blastoise one here. Charizard is the better Pokemon of the 2. I think that's going to end up being the case, but honestly, the fact that you get the 2 Pidgeotto here does kind of sway me, although it is only going to be an uncommon at the end of the day. But the fact that they've both got 2 copies of Cynthia really does make me love this. And once again, theme decks with staples. Brock's Grit, Nestball, Professor Kukui, Timeable, these are all going to end up in a whole bunch of decks. And fine, you can argue that stuff like Copycat and Pokemon Fan Club are not going to see as much play, and you'd be right, but these are still great, great theme decks. And I'm delighted. I have an inkling as to who is designing these theme decks. I don't know for certain, but whoever it is, I am delighted, and I thank them. But at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I would very much like to know what you think about these theme decks. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important thing as always, be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/TheWassy. patreon.com/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk Keyforge and Transformers, and it's a lot of fun. Other games as well, of course. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.